Well, hey everybody, this is Chris DeFirio with Keys to the Shop, and welcome to another edition of Shift Break. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at La Marzocco, lamarzocousa.com. And if you want to reach out to them to talk to them about their amazing espresso equipment, you just need to reach out to info@lamarzocousa.com. And one of their salespeople will help you pick the right espresso machine or other espresso equipment for your coffee shop. Now, La Marzocco has been in the business for nearly 100 years, hand making espresso machines in Florence, Italy, that whole time. And they have developed a reputation, a reputation that is based on reliability, beauty, and innovation, technological innovations that make things more ergonomic, more precise. The functionality and the quality of the build of the machine is what has made them renowned for being the cornerstone of a coffee bar. So if you are looking for an amazing piece of espresso equipment, again, check out lamarzocousa.com. Today, we're also sponsored by our friends at Rattleware. Rattleware.com is where you should go to check out all of the different smallwares that Rattleware has produced over the years and is available to you to stock your cafe. Your cafe is built not just on the big things, but many, many small things. And if smallwares don't work, it kind of throws a wrench into the whole thing, right? So that's what they love about what they do. They offer stability. They offer this foundation of smallwares that just work. You just want them to work, right? So go to rattleware.com to look for shot glasses and pitchers and whisks and knock boxes and that kind of stuff. And just make sure that your cafe has the functional smallwares it needs to function. And that's at rattleware.com. Now, today's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about the kind of reversal or backwards hospitality. It's like a polarity reversal of what we do in the coffee industry, specifically coffee shops. We are a hospitality-based industry. Now, one of the things that we can sometimes be confused about is that we are first just passionate coffee people, and that we basically are just showcasing our passion to people and inviting them into our place of enjoyment of coffee and showcasing our knowledge of coffee and representing the farmer and all this other stuff. It's true, that's part of it. But primarily, what is deeply embedded in the idea of a coffee shop is service. Serving people using the thing, the cafe itself, and the product as the means to serve. And it's not so much about making people understand you. It's not so much about making people do what you want them to do to give you validation for your passions. It's more about how can I serve these people very well using what I have. Now, it might be I'm, splitting hairs here. Maybe it's just semantics, but I do think the order in which we consider what we do matters. I do think that we sometimes can try to get the customer to do things for us more than we try to do things for the customer. And I think the culture of barista community and entrepreneur community is partly to blame for this, because we've got the internet, we've got our communities, and we commiserate. We've talked about the problem of commiseration in past Shift Break episode. And what that does is it creates kind of a caricature of the customer. And it focuses our energy on somewhat like weaponizing self-pity and creating an identity within that level of we are a barista community, we are a community of entrepreneurs, and we lose focus. We really lose the why of what we do. We don't give ourselves a lot of time to consider the benefit of the customer. What are they getting out of this? What I see happening a lot as we have really deepened our communities in our factions of different factions of a coffee shop, front of house, back of house, owners, baristas, is a reversal of hospitality, where we're basically inviting people into the coffee bar to serve us. We are really fragile when it comes to inconvenience. When a customer takes too long to order, we're really frustrated. When they have questions that we think are stupid, we're just like, ugh, and then we go and talk to our friends about stupid customers, and then or we talk about all these other groups, and we just kind of isolate ourselves in these, and we silo ourselves in our communities. And this is where community can be very damaging, because it's an echo chamber, and our industry, while it's good to recognize good work within certain areas of the cafe, and through the supply chain and things like that, we're all interdependent. It's an interdependent industry. We rely on each other. And part of that each other is the consumer, lest we forget that they are the reason your coffee bar can stay open the way it does, and that their purchasing coffee is what enables coffee farmers to be able to have demand for the product that they have. And the quality with which we offer that coffee, and the service that we render to people in the procuring of that coffee, is what creates stability in the industry, so that people will continue to invest their money and their time in buying coffee. And if we keep losing sight of the idea that the onus is upon us to take the first step always in providing value to the customer through hospitality toward them first, rather than constantly trying to educate and make them dance the dance and say the words, and then talking bad about them when they don't do what we say, and laughing at them and spurning them and mocking, it really creates an undercurrent that prevents us as an industry from being stable. You don't want the foundation to be this flowing malcontent. You want it to be a stable rock of decision that you've made, that, yeah, okay, customers are going to frustrate your desires for certain, what you picture as the ideal customer interaction. It's never really going to happen that way. People are people, and people are frustrating, in case you didn't know. And by the way, you are frustrating too. You have probably frustrated somebody in your life when you took too long to order. Now, the question is, do you feel that, it's fair for that person to have been frustrated at you for taking too long to order at that restaurant that one time? Are you without sin here? No, you're not. We're all human beings doing imperfect things together to create a little bit of a moment through our work, through how we invest our time. And if you work in coffee, if you've opened a coffee shop, you've chosen to invest your time in providing something for other people. If you decide to go to a coffee shop and buy coffee, you've decided to invest your time in buying that coffee. And there's a reasonable expectation of hospitality that place comes with. If you've decided to open a coffee shop and all you can think about is getting people to get you, like, do they get me? This is us. This is, here's how you can fully appreciate who we are. And you haven't really had the conversation about how you can fully appreciate who you're serving and how you're serving them and whether it's effective or not. What will happen is, when you find that business is slower and when you find that people are not returning, you're not going to be practiced in the art of self-reflection. You won't have had that much of a muscle memory for, focusing your energy on improving the service, because from the beginning, it was all about you. It was all about getting a customer to, introducing your model of coffee, or introducing coffee to your community, rather than serving your community through coffee. Your coffee will blow minds. Your service will provide a platform on which people will change their palates. All of this stuff just kind of happens naturally. You don't really have to try too hard. But the saying is very true that people don't care what you know unless they know that you care. That's kind of a paraphrase. But how are you showing your community that you care about them, your customers, that you care about them? Are you building your coffee shop for their benefit? Are you building the menu for their benefit so that they can buy something that they really enjoy? They can experience a hospitality experience that is all about how can we innovate ways for them to be served by us, rather than trying to put more and more weight on them. All of this self-service, putting everything in the customer's hands, we're farther and farther away from the customer. The promise has always been, oh, well, it frees you up to focus on the customer. But the more we free ourselves up through technology, the more we find ourselves more distant from the customer. We need to first make sure that our purpose and our values are based on the idea of leaning into the customer's experience, embracing the work of making coffee and serving coffee to people face to face with our hands, the way we talk to people. The sensory experience of coffee needs to involve relationships with people just as much as relationship with the product itself. I fear that we have developed such a standoffish, just we're just dealing with customers. We're not serving customers. Similar to how behind the bar in leadership will just deal with baristas and not lean into these relationships and really care for and facilitate success for, and each person serves the other. We're really light on relationship. We're heavy on technology. We have a lot of technology, and we kind of are wasting our time with that in a lot of ways. The solutions to create more value for the consumer and for ourselves, by the way, if you provide amazing service and hospitality and quality to people, you feel it a lot more deeply. And it provides a base of peace for you in times where the bar is just chaos. When it comes to this kind of standoffish, herding the customer from one point to the next, especially when it comes to how we're trying to figure out ways for the customer to do more things themselves, we're robbing ourselves of the very thing that sustains our hearts in the midst of this. So then we just become technicians. I mean, in a sense, we're just producing this stuff. We're demeaning ourselves in the name of convenience, in the name of trying to commiserate against the customer instead of trying to understand them, instead of trying to figure out ways to really lean into relationships, and where we're leaning away from them. And so I'm just thinking about this, where our hospitality is so anemic. And when you go into a coffee shop, you really don't have that high of an expectation. You know why you can tell that's true is because when you do receive great hospitality, it's surprising. What if our goal was to make that surprising moment of great hospitality and quality where it was consistent and you felt good and it tasted good and the experience was good? What if that was just the norm? Now that's innovation. We don't need more technology. We just need more excellent basics. We say it all the time, excellence in the basics. But we've reversed this. We've pulled ourselves away from the customer. We're trying to get the customer to do all this work. We forgot what it is to serve people. So let's make this our direction. Let's say we have what we need right now, and let's say we don't need another tech stack to make this work. What we need to do is lean into these relationships and how we can first serve others and make our outward mindset, others-focused mindset, the norm and the direction and the focus of our innovation. Then we will see a lot more stability. And as we've said before, when that happens, the customer is more trusting in your brand. They will buy more coffee. More coffee can be grown. More profit in the hands of people who are responsible will bring more profit to the hands of the people who need more profit. You think about the farmers, you think about how that's going to happen. It really can only happen if we secure our end of the bargain. if we fulfill our promise. Hospitality, serving others. Serve the customer, you serve everybody. So that's all I have to say. I just was thinking about this and wanted to kind of work it out here in a shift break. So let me know what you think. I hope that this was good use of your time. Always feel free to email me, chris@keystotheshop.com. Bit of a longer shift break today. But as always, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you here next week on another edition of Shift Break from Keys to the Shop.